talking to start building wealth. I'm going to share with you where that's coming from and some of the steps that you can take right now, irrespective of how old you are, where you are now as you start your journey to wealth. So, just a quick reminder, I am live every Tuesday, every Thursday at 12, not 12, between 12 and 2. Some days I have to change up my schedule because of what's happening on the back end of the Boss Teacher brand. But this week we're here at 2 p.m. And if ever I change the schedule, I'll let you know. So look out on my social media feed for that. Hi, Sir Mike, what's going on? So I usually share whenever our feed changes. And for the next few weeks, we're going to be on at 2 p.m. Jamaica time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon. What is it? Pacific Standard Time? Oh, I'm getting my time zones wrong again. Listen, just convert it into your time zone, 2 p.m. Jamaica time. And if we go back to 12 noon, again, I'll definitely update you. I'll update you on social. I'll also update you via email. So today's topic, we're talking about just being old, too old rather, to start building wealth. And where exactly did that come from? So here's the story, because I always have a story for everything. I always have a story for everything, and that's where I get my inspiration stories, because there's a lesson behind every single story, and I'm convinced that my stories are not my own, but then other people share stories with me all the time based on certain circumstances. And usually when I share other people's stories, I do it in confidence. Like, I don't share their personal information. All you get is general details. So here's the story, right? So we're having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about just building wealth and how to build generational wealth, and just generally how to start out doing stock markets, real estate, and all kind of jazz, right? Those are my kind of conversations. So we're having one of those conversations, and there is this individual who is around the same age as I am. And they were saying, but oh my God, they were just so grateful for that conversation, because in the back of their mind, they're thinking that they're kind of too old to start this journey. Now, mind you, I'm 37. This person is probably about a year or two older or less than me. Can be less than 2 years old. Right. And so this individual was saying that they were thinking that they're too old to start generating wealth. They were too old to start the journey, too old to start thinking about stocks and real estate and all that jazz. And I'm like, what? Hold up. I had to kind of draw brakes a bit because I've never looked at it in that light. I've never seen it from that perspective. And it kind of brought me back to a few years ago, where we were just having conversations around why so many people are so miserable in old age. Is because look back in regret at what they weren't able to do and weren't able to accomplish. And I thought to myself, at 30 something years old, that's literally like just a third of your life is already gone. You have another 2/3 of your life left to accomplish all the dreams that are in your head, to build wealth, to build your business, to do whatever you want in the world, to tick off everything on your bucket list. And here is that one person just having the mindset that at this age, they were too old to start. And it was so encouraging to hear, because everybody that was in the conversation just kind of chimed in and was just saying, hey, it's never too old. But interestingly, what popped up in my feed the following day was what led me to do this live, because someone shared something on their feed, and it basically said that at 30 years old, Steve Harvey, the popular Steve Harvey that you and I know today, was homeless. At 30 years old, he was homeless. At 30 years old, Oprah Winfrey was not the Oprah Winfrey we know today. Oprah Winfrey at that time, she was just on a small half an hour program, I think, that was not very popular at all. Like, nobody listened to that program, barely anybody. So imagine comparing yourself to a Oprah at 30, to a Steve Harvey at 30, and you looking at yourself at 30 plus and thinking, oh, it's too late for me. Hell no. It's not too late for you. It's not too late for you. It's not too late for anybody. And one of my suggestions was that if you look back at a lot of the more popular names of today, I think Colonel Sanders was one of them who started the KFC brand very, very late in life. And this is a man who was trying his hand at various different things throughout his lifetime. And there are so many other examples of individuals who pretty much blossomed late. And I'm reading this book. I read this book earlier in the month, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the studies of their time, and this is decades ago, proved that people started to flourish. Generally, people started to flourish and thrive later in life, in their 40s, in their 50s, and their 60s. Because what happens is that the first 3 decades of their life, they're figuring out life. There's a lot of trial and error going on. They're doing things are failing, and they're figuring out what works, and they're frolicking along the way, and they aren't really taking life as seriously as they should. But by the time you hit your 30s and you're inching down to your 40s, you realize that you have to get a lot more serious about life. And the record showed that during that era, the most successful individuals of their time became a success in their 40s, in their late 30s, 50s, and 60s. That was the general age range, between 30 late and 60 early. You understand what I'm saying? So somebody looking at themselves and thinking, oh, I'm 30, I probably need to stop trying right now because I can't be successful at this again. Or I'm 40, I'm 50, and you're thinking that to yourself. That is so not true. That is like the lie that the deceiver wants you to believe. And I can talk forever about that whole concept of deception, but understand that is not true. If you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're telling yourself right now that you're too old to start building wealth, you're too old to start thriving, may as well you just continue with what you're doing and live until you die. May as well you just keep this job and watch the money come in and live until you die and just be satisfied with what you have. Like, your dreams are way bigger than that. Why settle? Why settle? The truth is, here's the truth. It is way easier for you to start thriving and you start building wealth when you're younger. And for anybody who's had a head start, what do I mean by that? Your parent or your grandparent or some relative gave you an inheritance. That's you getting a head start. For anybody who had a head start, you're way ahead of the game, and that's great. And that's why they tell you when you're going into insurance of any sort, when you're going into any retirement investment, that you must start when you are super duper early, super young. Rather, they tell you start the very first paycheck you get, because you're gonna reap greater benefits. Now, for somebody who's at 40, who's trying to get to the same results, as opposed to you at 20, is going to have to invest a lot more into getting the same results than somebody who started 20, 40 years earlier. So yes, there are benefits to start building wealth when you're young. There are benefits to getting the word slipped me. Inheritance, right? There are benefits to all of that, but not because you didn't get an inheritance, not because you didn't have the opportunity or the knowledge to start early or start when you were younger, doesn't mean that you cannot do it now. It does not mean that you cannot do it now. Right? So don't discourage yourself. Doesn't matter your age. You could be 60 watching this video right now. I kid you not. It does not matter how old you are. You have a lifetime or even quarter of a lifetime left to check off your bucket list to start thriving in whatever area that you desire, to start building wealth, to start living your dreams, to start doing the things that you really and truly want to do. Now, there's this concept of the mastermind that Napoleon Hill mentioned in that book that I was reading. And it's so powerful, because here's what happened when we were having that conversation, right? So this individual was saying that they're too old to start. And by the end of the conversation, the majority of individuals were saying this. It's so great. And I'm talking about position for purpose, guys. We were having this conversation in class. They felt so blessed, so privileged to be a part of that group, just having those kinds of conversations, because many of them have never been privy to having that kind of conversation before. What kind of conversations I'm talking about? So inside of the Position for Purpose program, but I teach people how to discover their purpose and just thrive and flourish in all areas of their life. Inside of that program, we have a conversation around building wealth. As a matter of fact, it's a whole 2-week session that we have when we talk about building wealth, right? And some of the things that we talk about are things that people don't talk about on a regular basis. Like the average family doesn't talk about these things, right? The average friend that you sit down with don't talk about these things. And so persons were saying they felt so privileged to be able to be having these conversations for the first time, or even if it's not the first time, to really having such in-depth conversations, because now they understand how the rich keep getting rich, because they have these conversations among themselves, right? Information is passed on among themselves, and people know exactly who to go to for what. They know what connections need to be made. They know who to call for exactly what area of expertise they need. And so if you're not having these conversations among yourselves, whether it be with your friends, your families, your colleagues, then you're going to be out of the loop. And going back to the mindset where you say to yourself, oh, I'm too old to start building wealth, then ain't nobody around you to encourage you and say, no, Julia, don't say that. Don't say that, Julia. You aren't too old. If you have nobody like that around you, boosting you up, encouraging you to say, hey, you can still do this. You're very young. Then little by little, you're going to start believing that lie. And then 1 year go by and you say, see, you know, my birthday come and gone and I haven't done anything yet. Another year passed by and you keep telling yourself over and over until it actually becomes a fact. So you see this whole concept of the mastermind, so powerful. Get yourself some mastermind friends, because at the end of that session, that individual came into the session thinking they're too old to start building wealth, left feeling energized, left feeling revived, left with a business idea and strategies as to how she's going to get this business off the ground. So the answer, to answer you, the answer is no. You are not too old to start building wealth, to start living your dreams, to start thriving, to start flourishing, to start anything. Anything that is good for you, you are not too old to start doing it. That's all I'm saying. So here's what I want you to think about. Okay, first thing, before I tell you that, I want you to go to mypurposeroadmap.com and download the free training that is there, because that is a start. That is like the tip, the very tip of what you're going to be learning as you go throughout your journey with me, if you decide to hire me to assist you with this. Because what I have done is I've created a general overview of what it is like for you to step into purpose and thriving in all of the 12 core areas of your life. I'm giving you a general overview. It's a very free training. And I'm going to share with you a comment from somebody who went through that very free training last week. And the free training alone is giving them business ideas, changing their perspective on how they relate to their family, all kinds of things. I'm going to share it on my feed one of these days. So go to mypurposeroadmap.com to get access to that. But what I want you to think very carefully about is, if you're thinking that right now you're too old, is would you rather just keep thinking about that from now until the end of time, till you retire, till you're too old to do things on your own, and then look back at life in regret, wishing you hadn't waited that long? It was Miles Monroe who said, the richest place in the world is the graveyard, because so many people die with so much potential. So many people die looking back in regret because they didn't do the things that they wanted to do because they made so many excuses. And some of us are making the excuse that I'm too old, I don't know anybody, I don't have any connections. We always have an excuse. It's a deceptive spirit. We always have an excuse. But again, there is always a solution. So would you rather do that? Or would you rather watch people older than you or even younger than you pass you by, do all the things, enjoy all the things, have fun, have a blast, flourish in all the things, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, why isn't that me? Why could that not be me? And you're not taking actions towards it. You're just telling yourself and coming up with all kinds of excuses. Which would you rather? Would you rather do those things, or would you rather take a step right now, like today, making a move in the direction of really just accomplishing all the things that you want for your life? I personally chose the latter. I chose the latter. And I didn't inherit anything from anybody. Not at all. I grew up poor, dirt poor, like most of my friends, most of my family, dirt poor. Dropped out of college once. Had to fight my way through college the second time around. But 30 plus years on this planet, and I cannot say that I have not. I can. Let me just put a positive spin on it. I can confidently say that being born into those kinds of situations did not stop me from living my dream. So if you can't think of anybody, use me as an example. And say to yourself, if Julia can do it, Julia old, she almost 40. If Julia can do it, I can do it too. So I want to leave that with you today and just encourage you and let you know that you're never too old. You are never too old. Remember Oprah, remember Steve Harvey, remember Colonel Sanders, remember Julia. And remind yourself that once you start now, it can happen. It can happen. All right. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Remember to go to mypurposeroadmap.com to get that blueprint of how you can start your journey to living on purpose, to flourishing, to thriving, and to just being the best version of you. All right. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see each other on Thursday. All right. Thursday, same time, same place. We're going to be talking about another subject as it relates to really thriving and living your best life, walking in purpose. And follow me. Let me put this one up for y'all on follow me at Hello Boss Teacher if you already aren't. For those on Instagram, they're already following me. But if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, on all social media platforms, I am at Hello Boss Teacher. All right, so that's it for today, guys. We'll see you again on Thursday. I've said this so many times already. All right, bye. I'm gone. Bye-bye. All the best, and see you guys.